Patrick, thank you for letting us come into the training ground. Your home.
Home, this is where I spend most of the time. I spend more time here than at home.
Is it? What's your day like? What would it look like for anybody who doesn't understand how a manager's diary works? We just spoke about it a little bit before. You wake up.
Yeah, I try to leave home around 6:30, 6:45, just to beat the traffic. That allowed me to be in a building just around 8 o'clock, and training starts at 11 o'clock. So when training is finished, you always like to look at the training, and you may want to speak with some players individually because you may want to show some of the videos about the work that we did in the morning. And I leave the building around 4:30, and that get me home 6:30.
Wow. So you see the children for an hour and a half maybe before
bed?
Yeah,
having a dinner with the kids, and then put them to bed because they have to wake up early to go to school. So that is why you spend majority of your time in the building here.
Wow. So mentioning your kids, we're here on behalf of WeAre8, a social media platform, and it's interesting when you talk about your children. What's your relationship with your children and social media?
This is where she's 11 years old, and she has a mobile phone, and now it's all about getting involved on social media because her friends from school have the social media. So it's not something that I'm keen at. But it's really difficult because sometimes, she can be in a room in a mobile phone and she can go to any kind of social media and you don't know what she will find, you don't know what she will get.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I got involved with WeAre8, because it doesn't have toxic behaviour, no hate on there. Those elements are what scare me with my kids, my 11-year-old daughter the same. So that was one of the pleasing aspects of WeAre8.
But I think it's quite really good because I believe that social media and all these big companies have responsibility to control what's going through the social media. So if you're talking to me about the one that you are creating, yes, that is something positive.
Perfect.
You understand what I mean? Because we just want to protect our kids, and it's difficult to control everything and to fully protect her.
Especially when you're working. Like every parents are working, so you're not there a lot of the time. Yeah,
you're not there all the time, and you want her to have a certain liberty, and kids of her age have a phone. So sometimes they have this kind of WhatsApp group where they are connecting to each other and talking to each other, and I think that is part of life, and especially of today's life. We are too old for that, but today's life is about the way to communicate. So. You will want her to, but at the same time, I will want to protect her though.
No, it's true. So in terms of social media, how do you think you would have dealt with social media as a player? Would you have had it? Would you have been on it, active, or would you put it to one side?
To be honest, if I was a modern player today, I will do like everybody else. I will have social media because that is part of our life today. Every player have it and they're all using it. Maybe you will use it in a different way, so some of them will use it in a different way, but that is part of our life. Players today, they're going to their phone and first thing they will do is going to look at the number of followers that they have, or they may gonna send a picture, they want to communicate with their fans. That is part of the life today. So I believe that if I was a player today, I would be like everybody else I would use it.
Racism has impacted many people's lives. In your career, in your life, can you point to any situations that impacted you greatly?
Yeah, when I was a player and when I was playing in Italy, we played in Florence against Fiorentina, where with Sule Mutari, we were abused by the fans, and it was like heavy, like the monkey noise they were making every time we touching the ball, and that was really tough. That was really difficult one. And of course, when I was coaching the EDS team with Manchester City, we went to a training camp, and one of my players were actually abused by the opposition team. So we stopped the game, and I went to speak with the coach in the opposition team, and I said to him, listen, you have to take these players out because we can't play in this kind of situation. So he didn't want to do it. So we just work out. We walk out of the game. We stopped the game. We went back to the dressing room, and I called Manchester City, the hierarchy, and I explained to them the situation, and they fully understand it, and they back me up and make me understand that was the right decision. So I was really pleased that we made that decision.
Did you get much support in your career of how to deal with racism or these situations?
You don't get support, and of course the situation with Manchester City, the support was really positive for Manchester City Football Club. When I was playing for Inter, you don't get the support because, playing an example in Italy, they are behind. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Socially. Because you're looking at the country and you're looking at the country that they colonize, and they are behind France, they are behind England. So the support in Italy wasn't great at that time, and it's still not great.
What kind of things do you think could be put in place to kind of help that for the current players especially? You've got social media, there's so much more avenues direct to players.
I think we are in a situation where there's a lot of talks, but not too much responsibility has been taken. And when you're looking at all those big platforms who just say that, oh, we can't control it, is a lie, they can control it. But what we really need, I believe, is the politicians to make a decision about which kind of sanction that we will give to those platforms who are not taking responsibilities. And you're looking at footballs, and you're looking at the responsibility of UEFA, FIFA, federations, clubs. I think everybody is hiding behind the game on himself and not taking really responsibilities. And something that I think is quite really good in this country is that fans has been banned for life attending to games if there is any kind of racist behavior. And that is a massive step forward. And I hope that different countries worldwide will follow that.
Do you see England as the country that's probably most progressive in that sense? Still with work to do?
There's still work to do, but I believe that
You played in Italy?
I played in Italy, in France. In France, I never had this kind of in the stadiums, I will say it, but players, it happened in France. But I think in England, they are leading the fight against any kind of discrimination, I will say it. And I strongly believe that politics has to get involved if that is really part of the agenda. You understand what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think that is not the priorities.
So, especially in recent years, and even in the past, if you have any other examples, which players have you been most proud of in terms of standing up for racism? Either via social media or normal media?
No, I think the one that I think make a big change was Boateng.
In Italy?
In Italy, when he worked off the field. And that was a really strong message, a really powerful decision. And Samuel Eto'o as well makes some really strong statement. And if I have to mention, I will mention those two players at the time who I believe make some powerful decisions.
It takes strength, doesn't it? It takes a lot of strength and courage.
It takes strength, courage, because you are by yourself. You are by yourself, and there is nothing worse that when you want to work off the field and then you have players around and come to tell you, oh, it's okay, don't worry, keep playing. You understand what I mean? Because that's not the right things to do.
It's true.
And I think it's, and it's wrong.
I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit. If you could wind back the clock and say, you know, I'm going to have a career as a manager or a career as a player, which would you take? Which is more enjoyable? When you get the 3 points at the end of the day,
I will play.
Yeah?
I will play.
I thought that.
I will play. It's more easy to play. It is more easy to play.
Why?
Because it's a different kind of stress, pressure. Because
you're not looking old though. You're not looking old. You're looking good. This guy's looking good, man.
No, but because when you play, you feel like you can control what's going on in the field. You know, you can have an impact on the result. And of course, as a manager, you have a plan in a week, and you do what you need to do. You have your game plan. You have the plan that in a week, how do you want to approach the game? And you're thinking about, okay, if you win, this is how things are going to go. If you lose, this is a change that you're going to make. You cover everything, but you're still not on the field. And that is the difficulties. And of course, there is as well, you know, when you win when you are a player, you win, you lose, you go home. And of course, when you don't win, you'll be, what's going on? And you'll be upset, you don't gonna sleep on the night, you get frustrated, but then you just think about the next one. But there's no negative pressure around coming to you. You build up your own pressure, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you are a manager, when you lose, when you don't win, when your team don't play well, there is the...
It's just on you like
it's coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you have to be in, not a bubble, but you have to take it and take what you need, and just, you have to listen to, this is constructive, so I can take it, although that's not a constructive, I put it on the side. So you have to be surrounded by the good people who bring you positiveness, you know, when things are negative around. So that is the difficulties as well.
Yeah.
And that's why it's much easier to play than to coach, because everything around is really difficult to manage.
How do you switch off? How does Patrick Vieira switch off from all of that pressure, the demands of the club, the fans, the demands of
the thing is that you don't switch off. It happened at time when I'm at home and having a dinner with my kids and my wife, and you're having a conversation, and then you're just thinking about what's the session and what you will want to do tomorrow, and what's the message you want to give to the players, or what you're going to say to players that you want to speak in a 1v1. So your mind never stopped. So I'm having a conversation with the missus, and she's talking to me, but my mind is somewhere else. My mind is in the training ground. And
is she saying, Patrick?
Yeah, but it happened when I said, oh. Because you can't switch off, because you want to anticipate what will happen tomorrow. So you're planning what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, to who you're going to say it. And this is why we were talking earlier on, you can't be 50-50. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
So when you decide to go into that job, you have to understand that it will eat your brain. And I'm quite lucky because my wife understands it and she likes the game, I will say it. And that allowed me to manage it in a better way.
Oh, you're lucky. Patrick Vieira, when we speak about Patrick Vieira, you speak of leader, immediately comes to mind. What type of leader are you?
I think you have the leaders who are quite loud like Tony Adams. Tony Adams was really vocal on the field, in the dressing room, by his posture. He was loud, and he was a positive leader as well, like I like to call positive leader. And I was a little bit the opposite. I will be leading by the way I express myself on the field. Tony will lead by his voice and his presence, and I'm going to lead with the tackle that I will make, showing an example to the teammates. I'm more this kind of leader, I will say it. I will talk in the dressing room, but I will not going to be the one who will shouting, and I will be more calm and express positiveness, frustration, but more with people feeling, I would say. You know what I mean? And
what about as a manager?
As a manager, I'm quite really calm, honestly. It happened, of course, that I lose myself. And and I think it's about the dressing room that you have, and to be honest, I've been really lucky because I had some really good managers from Arsene, Mourinho, Capello, Roberto Mancini. So they were all different, but what they had similar to each other was the way that they were managing the dressing room. They knew the dressing room that they had and how they were conducting themselves. So what I want to say is, in the dressing room, I can be mad, I can be shouting, I can be showing passion, I can show when I'm not happy, and that I expect more from some players. It can be collective, it can be individual. But what is important is to know the character of the players that I have in the dressing room. Because some of them will deal with it, and some of them will not going to deal well with it. So it's about knowing the players that I have in front of me and how I will manage that players. And that is something that I think it's important to deal with.
Right, my last question, nice and light. Patrick Vieira has to pick his five-a-side team. The best players he played with. So you give me a five-a-side team.
You know what? Every time I've seen this kind of quote, and it's a really difficult one. I can understand how it is really difficult because from Arsenal, from Juventus, from even before Arsenal I was at AC Milan, and AC Milan I was with AC Milan. I opened the first day the training run, and when I went inside the dressing room, it was Costa Curta, Baresi, Maldini, Eranio, George Weah was there, Desailly, and no, but honestly it was like it's a dream come true. You understand what I mean? So it will be really difficult, even if I try to.
Come on, give me five, Pat. Come on, you can give me five.
I'm not going to put myself in a team.
Okay.
I will have to go. I'm going to choose one player in each team then to make it more easy. I will go with Thierry Henry from Arsenal.
Why?
Because Thierry was, at that period, he was one of the best, if not the best player in the Premier League. Because he can win games by himself. Then after I went to Juventus, I will go for a defender and I will choose Cannavaro. In Juventus. Unbelievable. He was small. He was winning everybody in the air.
I couldn't believe when I met him the first time off the pitch. I didn't, because on the pitch he has a big stature. But when I met him off the pitch, I was like, bro, you're actually quite small.
And that is why we always thought that to be a good central back, you need to be 6'4". But you don't need, it's just about
brain.
Brain. And then from Juventus, I went to Inter, Ibrahimovic, Zlatan.
Talk to me, what's great about this guy? Tell me. I know, but tell people what's great about him.
What is great about him is, when you're on the field, especially the front players, you will want them to have this kind of self-belief, confidence that they can score, they can win new games. And Zlatan is one of those players who he believes on himself so much that can be positive for the team. Inspire the team. And he will be on the field. He's a fighter, he's a leader, he's a goal scorer, he's a winner. And he's a good teammate as well. He's a funny guy. In the dressing room, he's a good guy to have in the dressing room. He's a really good guy, and I love him. He's a top one.
That's three.
That's three
more.
And then
national team.
For me, national team, I have to. choose Zidane. Zidane is the greatest. I think he's
the best you played with.
He's the best of the best.
Wow.
He's the best of the best because, for me, the best player is always the one who make other players look really good. And when people ask me, who's your best player you ever played with, I always say Zidane. So if I go Zidane, Zlatan, Thierry, Cannavaro, I think I will choose another defender. I will have to go with Paolo Maldini.
Oh, no Desai. No Turan.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
It's a difficult one, and I'm going to be in trouble, you know. But I have to choose Maldini because I tell you, when I opened this dressing room and I was 18 years old, coming from Cannes.
How did you feel walking in there, man?
It's a dream come true because those guys, I was watching them on the TV and winning the Champions League, the Scudetto. And
Intimidated or?
Intimidated, yes. Intimidated, yes. Because the jump was massive. I went from Cannes to AC Milan. Wow. So opening the dressing room was, and then Maldini is not just about the players, it's about the man as well. He was unbelievable. He was such a nice person, and he always helping to help you to grow as a man and as a player. And I admire him because he had an unbelievable career. For me, he was the best left back ever, you know. So that is the 5 names, but I can give you Roberto Baggio because he was there when I was at AC Milan as well. There's too many players.
Well, we've got 5. I'm happy I got that 5.
Yeah, and 5 good friends as well. So it's good.
Oh, good. Well, listen, Patrick, very, very much
it's
appreciate
a pleasure,
your time.
man.
I know you're busy.
Nice to see you.
And you. And
nice to
I
see
don't
you.
live far from here, so I'll come down a bit more and see you.
Anytime. If you're welcome to really come to watch training, and and I'm sure some of the young players will like to see you and talk to you about your experience. And he's a good club. He's a family football club. So anytime you want to come, please come, because I'm sure that you have a lot to give to those young players. I'm sure that they will love to talk to you about your experience.
Thank you. It's a deal with you.